Sujay. Now, before you even go any farther, right underneath this YouTube, if you're watching it on that platform, is a subscribe button, and there's a thumbs up, which means you like. Please subscribe. We need 99 more people to help me get to 1,000. But we're so excited and delighted to have with us today Danita Turner. Oh my gosh, author par excellence. She is an executive coach. She has worked in sports, corporate America. You talk about arenas, she's helped you get there. Transitions, transformations, she's helped women, men get there. So I'm so excited because we're cousins. We are spiritual cousins. We know the same pastor, Pastor John K. Jenkins Sr. and First Lady Trina Jenkins, who introduced us. She has written a book, co-authored a book with Pastor John K. Jenkins. And so we're just excited. Thank you for being my guest on Fabulous Fifth Chapter. Welcome.
Listen, thank you for inviting me. I am flattered and honored. So I love the fact that we want to take time today just to chat, and I can learn a little bit more about you. You can learn a little bit about me.
Oh man, this is so exciting. So this can also be your coffee hour. I have one more sip of they call it Misto. They put a lot of skim milk and steam it and charge you a few extra dollars. That's really what it means.
That's right.
So
I've
get
had
your cup of coffee, your cup of juice, whatever you need, because this is Girlfriend Hour. So my Fabulous Fifth Chapter was written by and published by Judson Press. They were actually my first publishers when I started writing a book, Sister to Sister and Wise Women Bearing Gifts, which became bestsellers when people weren't really writing gifts. So I want to thank Judson Press and the American Baptist Home Mission Society for believing in me through all of these years. 40 years we've been together. And so, the first chapter is when you're born and everything is done for you. Diapers are changed, your bottles are given. If you're breastfeeding, all of that is done for you. The second chapter, your toddler years. The terrible twos. You're learning some lessons, but you're reprimanded quite a bit. Chapter 3, your teenage years. You know the lessons, but you rebel against those lessons quite a bit, but you're trying to come into your own. Chapter 4, your adult years, young adult, mature adults. And you know the lessons and you're really trying to find which lane you're going to be in, trying to establish some leadership. But chapter 5, 50 plus, it starts with your AARP card. I don't know how the U.S. Postal Service, they never get anything right except that day. And you go to the mailbox, you get that AARP notification. And then when you're 64 and 6 months, as we both know, you get this card saying your next birthday, you're eligible for Medicare. So we're in chapter 5. So anything with a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, and any number after it is your fifth chapter. And so as I would go around speaking, you'd be in this holding room, and I was looking at the libraries, and there were always these books for men, usually white men, and it was talking about halftime and tackling and all these analogies about what happens for men. I was like, where is it for women and women of faith? So this our fifth chapter. So it's about fun, being fabulous, fine, fit, and fabulous. So if you describe what's most fabulous about yourself right now, what would you say makes you feel fabulous, makes you look fabulous? What makes you a fabulous woman that you are?
You are so sweet. But first, I have to tell you before I answer, when I received my AARP card, I mailed it back. I said, wrong address, return the This cannot be for me. So
yes, it cannot be.
That must be the denial chapter, whatever that was. But now when I think about where I am, I think probably the thing that gives me the most comfort and brings me happiness truly is my faith, because based upon what I believe, I have made decisions that people talk about stepping out on faith. I am living proof. I'm the poster child. I took care of other people's children during life coaching. I call it that because some were adults, some were younger. I decided that at some point I didn't want to move home before people got sick. I didn't want to come. I wanted to come before people got sick. Stepped out on faith. I said, well, I'm just going to sell my house. People said, oh, it's a bad time to sell. I said, okay, call the lady. She said, okay. 20 minutes into the open house, we sold the house. I said,
wow. That's fair.
And then there were two ladies wanting it. And one lady said, I'll pay closing. I said, that's what I'm talking about. Give the lady the house. And it's faith. I moved here to Richmond, Virginia, and now I believe that all my decisions based upon how it's supposed to be, which for me is for me, and that's what makes me the happiest. That's what makes me thrive every morning and get up going, it'll be okay. Faith.
I love it. So faith, and that's what brought us together, through our First
Yes.
Lady, Farina Jenkins. First Baptist Church of Glen Arden was the church that supported me, that covered me when I was U.S. Ambassador for International Religious Freedom in the Obama administration. So I was on the road a lot. So when I came back on a Sunday, I needed worship space, not somewhere that was going to put me up on a pulpit and make people look at me because I was the Reverend Doctor, but a place where I could give God glory. And so that church has been that for me. And I thank God for them and for you. So how did you come to First Baptist Church?
When I moved here, I've been there prior to the Heckinger building, for those that know it. I've been there many years. So we were looking for a church, and a young man that's still at the church now is a deacon told me about Glen Arden, First Baptist Church of Glen Arden. And I said, I was going to go, Sonia and Wilbur. And I've been there ever since. Wow. I loved it. It was the small church on side the road. And that's been, I don't even know how long, 20 years or something. And they were my family, my extended family. We have found, my parents would come visit. We would go to the service before they moved in the building. And they just embraced and answered. Pastor spoke to me in a way that I could identify, and I go, he's talking to me.
Yes.
Sometimes he says, who am I talking to? And I know, because he breaks it in a way and teaches in a way that you can identify when he's speaking to you, if you're honest with yourself. I think that's the other thing about getting older. Yes. You become more comfortable in your skin, ideally. I tell people, for me, I have friends that say I'm the same. I said, I'm not the same. Right. I don't want to be the same. Right. I don't want to be the same person I was at 30. If I am, I'm stuck. But I want to acknowledge what's different and what's better and what I need to do in order to continue to live the life of, when I think about my health, my dad always says, your body will tell you how you treated it in your old age, what you did to it in your youth.
Wow. Wow. Is that wisdom? Yes. So comfortable in our own skin. That's the book we need to write together.
It is.
That's what happens after, like, I'm really comfortable. I'm not competitive. It doesn't matter what you do. I know what I need to do. Right. And it's wonderful because you're not aspiring anymore. Things come to us. Of course, we're still doing things, but it's like, we don't have to be anxious for anything, as the scriptures say. You really, whatever's for you comes to you, whether it's selling your house, whether it's a business. So tell us about being an executive coach at this stage. Who do you coach and who comes to you, and why would they come to you?
Well, a couple of things. I started coaching in 1996. People didn't know what a life coach was. And people used to say to me, but how do you make your money? Because it's not tangible. Right. At that time, everyone thought it had to be tangible, it had to be a physical building. You have to have an item to sell. And I said, it's intellectual property. That's what you're selling. That's right. And that's right. 1996, people were not using that phrase or not thinking about it. So I think, have been blessed to have lasted so long in the business because, one, I was on the early train. I was able to learn as I've grown my business. And surprisingly, I am not a big participant in social media. And all of my business over the years, 90% of my business is referral.
Talk about that. Faith. Yes. Because we're boomers and we don't have to try to do it as the non-boomers do it. Correct. We have a lot of referrals and we still have business because people are like, so what do you do now? Like, and I'm like, I'm thriving. I really am. And it's okay. So now, one of the things you did, now we're talking about my book, My Fabulous Chapter.
Absolutely.
It's my turn, fifth chapter. It's my turn now. But you also co-authored a book with Pastor in your fifth chapter. What's the name of the book and what's the point of the book?
Pastor John K. Jenkins at the church, we met, and oddly enough, we met in the arena, in a sports arena, not at the actual church. And
Wow.
again, that's faith. Things came together. We had a conversation, and we would talk about words and verses that meant something to athletes, because for a long time I coached professional athletes. And we would talk about what are the interesting challenges that people were having in that particular venue. And then we talked about verses and words. And long story short, it became, I think the power of words would be important. The name of the book is Pass the Word.
I love
And
it.
it's on Amazon. And it's about 12 words. And it took us months to come up with which 12 words. And I wanted something that was short, but powerful and impact
Yeah.
and pass. And I decided on the words. And it's a short story to help you reflect about that word in your life. And the question
Okay.
is, do you use your words for good or not so much?
I love it. I love it.
And
And
how are
really,
they impacting your life?
so that word impact and influence are words and now that are going around. So what has who has most impacted your life? If you had to put a list together, a short list of the top 3 people who have impacted your life, who have they been?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, I'll have to put my mother and father. So I'm going to put them as one, because
Yes.
my mother, I was blessed to have my mother. She just passed recently, but I had my mother for 64 years.
And my
And
condolences.
they were married. Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She taught me about being a lady. And the
Yes.
politeness
Yes.
in the world will get you far. You don't have to lay everybody out and, tell them about
Right.
themselves. But also my father, who taught me in working in a world of corporate American sports, how to stand up for myself. Because I grew up
Mm.
extremely shy. I was afraid to speak. And he was like, if
Wow.
you don't speak, you're going to starve.
Yes.
So it was
Yes.
like,
Exactly.
how do you go in an arena or a business where there are men that don't necessarily want to see a woman? And this is what
Mm-hmm.
you need to do. So I put them in one category. The other would be, in no special order,
Mm-hmm.
um, David Stern, who is the
Now talk.
commissioner of the NBA.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I
I
got to
wrote a
meet him at
proposal.
the Motor Vehicle Bureau.
No, you
And
did not.
yes, yes, we were both in line at the Motor Vehicle Bureau in
You're
good
kidding.
ways. Yeah, so I mean, this
Wonderful
is
person.
very small. Yes,
He
yes,
he
yes.
was a mentor for me. He reached out. I had done some work and ended up in
Mm-hmm.
the media. And he had someone call me and say, you don't work for me, but you're working with my people. Come see me.
I
And
love
I
it. I
appreciate
love
the
it.
fact that he was, regardless of his position, he was still
Mm-hmm.
willing to acknowledge that little young Black girl has something I need. Let's talk about it versus
I
trying to,
love it.
work around it.
Mm-hmm.
And we made and had an understanding that day. I said, I can do better working with you to help
Mm.
support your initiatives than coming to
Yes,
work for you, because I
I
want to be
love it.
Switzerland. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be the union, the league, the team. I want to be Switzerland. I want to be, the common denominator is when we all set goals, know what you're
Mm-hmm.
willing to give up and what you're willing to do to get it. I was willing to give up um, the fear that I had that someone would take advantage of it and try to take it from me,
Wow.
because I had people trying to do it already. Create this
Wow.
program. We're going to own everything. We'll license everything, and we'll give you a few bucks to come in for the day and just run off with it. And he didn't do that. He actually supported and had my back. And I had the good fortune of going to see him 2 weeks before. Well, maybe it might have been a little longer. So say it was it was in November,
Mm-hmm.
November that he passed, a couple of weeks
Mm-hmm.
before. And I had gone up to just say thank you.
Wow.
And he had retired from the NBA. But
Yes.
the point being, sometimes we just have to take time to say thank you. Give people their flowers while they're living. He said, what can I do for you? I said, you can't do anything for me. You've done something for me for 20 years. You had my back. All I want to say is I rode the train up this morning to come see you, lay my eyes on you, and tell you, my dad taught me, my mother said, always dance with who brought you. You got to remember who brought you to the dance. So I wanted to say thank you.
Woo!
Yeah, we don't
Yes.
do enough of
No,
that. We think we
no, we
got there
don't. We're
on
gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that. Thank you. But give me number 3 on your influence
Pastor
because I want to
Jenkins.
talk about
Pastor
Pastor
Jenkins.
Jenkins. Yep, yep, yep. I with hands
Pastor
down.
Jenkins. I'll
I
tell
think
you the one line about him. He preached a sermon that said, one December, his father was there. Do you do for your family like they did for you? And I was
Wow.
very close. And I went home and called and said, I'm moving home. I'm coming.
Wow. Wow.
Pastor
Well,
Jenkins.
we want to both thank you, Pastor Jenkins and First Lady, because when I was new back in Washington, like I said, I was on the road forever, because I had 199 countries in my portfolio. So they were going to try to get me to every country they possibly could. And so when I came home, I needed the feeling of family and home. My sons were away in school. And my first Christmas, the Jenkins family on their Christmas day had me over with their family. And, their kids, of course, want their mom and dad, but they were like, no, come sit with us and we'll share. So I thank him repeatedly. But I want to go to that thing about thank you, because I'm working with Black women in ministry. We got a Lilly grant and Lilly endowment grant, $1 million. And we have Black women mentors mentoring another generation of women. So it's the first generation of Black women mentoring other Black women. And what I said to them is, you must always say thank you. No matter what. Show your appreciation. Say it. Write a little card. We used to have to do the script, back then. You had to write a card with 2 lines. If you don't want to write it, now they have a thank you card with that script written for you. All you got to do is sign your name, but it makes such a difference. And so when I was at Harvard University, there was a dean, Ronald Thiemann, and he interviewed me for a preaching position, and I didn't get it. But I wrote him a thank you note. Thank you for spending an afternoon with me, the whole thing. The next year, Harvard created this program called President's Administrative Fellows, where they would bring you in for a year. They would match your salary. You become an officer of Harvard. He says, I think I have something better for you. I couldn't give you the preaching thing, but because you said thank you.
Yes.
This man called me from Paris while he was on vacation. He said, would you mind if I shared a day with you? I was like, thank you. And this man gave me a year on the Harvard campus as an officer, and it came from a thank you note. And so I just encourage people to do that, as you did it for Commissioner Stern and others, but that makes such a difference.
It is the smallest things. To whom I can trust a little, I can trust a lot.
Hey,
if I can take a moment to make you recognize, I acknowledge and appreciate you, and I know I didn't do it by myself.
That's it. That's it. We don't do it by ourselves. I'm going to tell you one other thank you. And I want you to remind me of one other thank you. So when I was in 3rd grade, Dr. Martin Luther King came with Mrs. Coretta Scott King to Hunter College. And my parents took me. Back then, they didn't have all the security. So I went up to the stage at the end, and I got Mrs. King's address, 234 Sunset Avenue in Atlanta. And with my 3rd grade penmanship, we had just learned script, I wrote her a thank you note. Fast forward, her oldest daughter, Yolanda, and I become best friends. And so she wrote me another thank you letter back to this 3rd grader, which blows your mind. Fast forward, I become best friends with her daughter, Yolanda. In my adult years, I end up coming to the same house, 234 Sunset Avenue, where Miss King lived, where Dr. Martin Luther King lived, coming with Yolanda. I'm like, you know what? You can't beat God, So, yeah. So tell me another thank you that's made a difference in your life. And we're going to take a break after this.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what's interesting, I think, is I pulled together 12 women that I know.
Yes.
And it's a group of women that I want to say. And we refer to ourselves as the book club, and we only read one book, which is Pass the Word. And we talk about how can we comfort and inspire each other. And they have gone from, people have had divorces, furloughed, fired, illness, COVID, needing just, therapy for the stress that they were under. And we've gone 21 straight months. And I had thank you notes from women telling me this did more for me than therapy.
Wow.
We had a little mix, kind of a young group, ones that were still figuring out where they're going, and then some that were already there, kind of transitioning. People saying how much it really helped them get through COVID, and in a virtual, and we've never met. So what they've given to me, I was giving to them. I was always taught, make sure that you're you're not the taker. You want to be the giver. So as I give to them, they in return have given to me so much more, because I felt like I was able to help people during COVID while taking care of I'm the primary caregiver for my father.
I love it.
I do it without getting out in the world and do things. But what they've given back to me is unbelievable. So I have to thank them.
So that's it, because what happens in the universe, who we call God, is reciprocal. What you give out, some people call it karma, but what you give comes back to you. And we believe, God, that you are going to be blessed. So we want you to read her Pass the Word, but we also want you to read your fabulous 5th chapter. It's My Turn Now, coming to you from Judson Press. You can get it. Well, let me have a commercial right now. I want you to just hear this video that's about to come up about where you can get my fabulous 5th chapter. Stay with us. Press that subscribe button, and we're going to take a break right now. Hi, I'm Dr. Sujay, but you can call me Dr. Fabulous. And I am so excited. My new book, My Fabulous 5th Chapter, It's My Turn Now, has come out. You can get it on judsonpress.com or amazon.com. My Fabulous 5th Chapter. Are you a woman over 50? Are you ministering to women over 50? Do you have someone in your life who's a woman over 50 who wants to be fine, fit, fabulous, have her faith intact, her family intact, and just have some plain old fun? Well, this is the book. It's holiday time. My Fabulous 5th Chapter. Get yours now. And we're back. I am talking with Danita Turner. I'm Dr. Fabulous, or some of you know me as Dr. Sujay or Ambassador Sujay. But I am just so excited and ignited and delighted to have you with us. If you haven't pressed that subscribe button, please do that now and share this, because we want others to know about fabulous women like Danita Turner, and like you, the fabulous woman that you are, or man who's watching. You are absolutely fabulous. I want to tell you about what we have coming up June 20th to June 23rd. It's called Selah by the Sea. Selah. Now, in the Holy Scriptures, it's 71 times that word is mentioned, but it's not to be spoken. It means to be rested, to reflect on that which has happened. So we have Selah by the Sea for 50 fabulous women every June. And so it's going to be June 20th to the 23rd, 2022. If you're interested, send us an email. It's called Women on the World Stage, all one long phrase, at gmail.com. Women on the World Stage at gmail.com. We're almost sold out. We just have a few singles left. But what happens for us is what Danita was describing before the break. These are women who we share together, sisterhood. We call us soul sisters, because we're sharing from the heart and from the soul. And we'd love to have you. Women on the World Stage at gmail.com. But right now we have a few minutes left, and we're talking about my fabulous 5th chapter. It's my turn now. So we've talked about faith. We've talked about doing thank yous. We've talked about family. Both of us have had fabulous parents. So let's talk about fun and funds, F-U-N and F-U-N-D-S, in our fabulous 5th chapter. What do you do when you're not working, when you're not in this circle of sisters? What's the top thing you do to just have fun?
I prefer to bake, because it is so, oh my goodness, because I have to work so hard at it. So it's everything for me to focus on it. I can eliminate most of the things that are stressful or distraction, because in order for it to be right, you have to focus. That's probably the most fun that I have, really, because I didn't grow up wanting to bake. I used to take cakes to my clients, and I have clients that could buy, they could buy the baking, but they would appreciate the fact that I would make them homemade cakes. So I love the whole baking. That's the fun thing. And then the other would be outdoors, just to be able to get out and walk and breathe. It is just so easy to do. You don't need a membership. You don't need equipment, just a great pair of shoes and some time. And that is probably the best therapy for me, which is just great. The distance walking and fresh air.
So I like a piece of just plain pound cake and a piece of sweet potato pie. So I'm coming over to your house, and
pound cake,
because we're cousins now. We're spiritual cousins.
That's right. We're cousins.
What I've discovered in my fabulous 5th chapter is that I love swimming again. So when I was a kid, I stayed in the pool all day long. We would go on vacation. My parents would go on those tours of Puerto Rico and all that. and they'd leave me in the pool and they'd come back and I still was in the pool. So I was living next door to a pool in Harlem, and I started swimming, and I joined this senior group called synchronized swimming group called the Harlem Honeys. And so we were in the water every day doing laps and doing synchronized swim routines. And so what I do now to get my soul refreshed and also have recreation is swim as possible. So let's talk about funds, funds. Some of us have put away and saved for a rainy day, but it's raining right now. What do you say to the woman over 50 who may not have had it together for whatever reasons before she became 50? What do you say to her about funds, funds, to be financially ready?
I think you never give up on preparing, because at some point you could just throw your hands up and say, I can't do it. So you have to stay focused, but you have to stay positive. I also believe that for me, one of the things that I do on a regular basis is, for years, I start with, some people say, well, I need to make more money. I start with cleaning up where I am. How am I spending unnecessary money? Because you can make extra money by cleaning up what you have. Go through those statements and find an extra charge that you forgot to cancel something. Find out where you are always. And then the other last point I would make is know what it costs to be you. Because some people think, what does it cost to be you? What do you have to give up? What are you willing to give up? I'm willing to give up a lot of things in order to be here to be for my dad. Because my mother married at 19. He had never lived alone. He had never been alone. So in lieu of trying to go and find other ways to make extra money, I said, well, let me back up, as I'll do probably in January every year. Why don't I back up and figure out what can I clean up, check, and you will always find money. I don't care who you are, you will always find money. Simple thing. Know what it costs to be you. What are you willing to give up? And what are you willing to do about it? Because some things you might need to change if you cannot get out and earn, obviously, more money. The more money you earn, obviously, the more you have something to do with. But there are basic things we can all do, regardless of what happens once we go out and find other employment.
I love it. I think those are obviously wonderful tips for us to begin to close on. Know what it takes to be you. What are you willing to give up? And I would say from the book, my third thing is to give yourself permission. If it's your turn now, give yourself permission to dream on a declaration, to begin to do some of the things that it takes to make you you. You had all of these people telling you what you needed to do. What is it you want to do in this stage of life? So I'm Dr. Fabulous. I've been with Danita Turner. We just want you to be the fabulous one you are. And this is what I say. Let the rest of your life be the most blessed and the best of your life. Don't dry up like a little raisin. No, baby, you are a grape with juice and you've got energy, and God has blessed you. I say what my parents gave me, the best gift was financial freedom, so that I can now do some of the things I've been dreaming about. And I can now leave legacy for my family, that they can begin to have some of their dreams come true. So whatever it is, I want you to know today, you are fabulous. Say with me, I am fabulous.
I am fabulous.
Yes, Danita, you are.
Yes.
And if you're listening, you are fabulous too. I'm Dr. Sujay, Dr. Fabulous, getting ready to sign off. I've been with Danita Turner. Thank you, First Lady, for introducing us. And thank you for sharing this time with us. My fabulous fifth chapter, it's my turn now. Amazon.com and also on JudsonPress.com. See you next time. Thank you to my team for helping us today. God bless you until we meet again.
Great. Thank you.